Rolling Papers is a unique coming of age story that captures that sense of dread for younger generations in the mighty cold Tallinn without resorting to fatalistic tendencies. Told through the eyes of Sebastian, who meets Silo while working in a mundane job in a convenience store. Silo convinces him to go to a beach party, and from then on, he explores the idea of a hedonistic lifestyle with ambitions to live on the beaches of Brazil. Silo takes him to a party and he meets Mr. Mays, a wannabe rapper, and Nora, who is studying law but has ambitions to be more creative. And through these characters, he gets a sense of who he is and what he wants to achieve in his life. Released in Estonia in 2024, Rolling Papers is Estonia's official submission for the 98th Academy Award for Best International Feature Film. So let's dig a little deeper into this film. If you're new to my channel, my name is Paul, and I review the best of world cinema, and I follow the race for Best International Feature Film Academy Award, from countries selecting their submission to the final winner. What I like most about the film is the way it manages to have this shifting contrast. So we meet Sebastian working a very mundane, normal shop job, but then he starts partying and live a hedonistic lifestyle, and he's considering what balance of hedonism versus adulthood he needs to follow. And under lesser hands, it could have just followed a really hedonistic, crazy story, but instead there's this massive tonal shift in the middle of the film where it's much more reflective and conversational based, as he has this conflict between the need of being an adult versus the need of living one life to its fullest. And this conflict is explored through his relationship with Nora. Yes, she meets in a party and has fun, but she also is studying law because she knows it will lead to a career. She also finds the importance of doing housework, going to the shops, and living a proper grown-up life. While this compares to Sebastian, who almost doesn't want to take on any responsibilities. He just, at some points, wants to live a hedonistic lifestyle. And I think this change in tone is masterfully done, and it brings out this conflict, which could have so easily just been about party boys having fun. Now, this film provides an excellent sense of place. If you've ever been to Tallinn, it really reflects the vibe of the city. There is this hipster culture, reclaiming places for young people. There is the backdrop of a beautiful medieval old town, but there's also Soviet blocks from the Soviet era. The film really masterfully captures this with the backdrop of a cold, snowy winter. To me, this film really provides that vibe and experience of living and breathing Tallinn. Mr. Mays is a very funny character in this film, but it also provides another opportunity to explore this conflict between the need to be responsible adults and the desire to live hedonistically. Mr. Mays is a rapper and who's desperate to be famous, and he tries going viral multiple times. At one point, he's successful. However, the success does not last, and he decides he has to get a normal job. And again, this provides Sebastian with an opportunity to observe and really think, what is the reality of the situation I am in versus what do I ideally like and how can I maximize pleasure? And I think this film is very fitting because I don't think adults are particularly told about the reality of living this conflict. Often we're told you go to university and have a career and prioritize delaying gratification. However, that actually destroys the joyfulness of your life. So how do you compromise across those two conflicting wants? Plus, with this generation who are not as rich or have as much income as previous generations or as much opportunities, there's a financial limit of how you can explore this conflict as well, which I think the film really plays across. And I think, speaking for a generation, I don't think the film intends to be a big, this is what my generation is like. However, because it's so based on personal friendships and experiences, it feels really authentic. And it does speak for that generation who haven't necessarily had the same economic opportunities as previous generations and are forever trying to balance this conflict of trying to survive and live an adult life, but also enjoying oneself. The film gives that critique of late stage capitalism and the general distrust that things will get better. The people in this film were not very old when the economic crash of 2008 happened. And since then, there has been just limited opportunities in Europe. And I think this film is exploring that concept through a really authentic storytelling way. Rolling Papers is also a love letter to the films of Richard Linklater. It never copies, but you really have this homage to his films. From The Tote Bag to Dazed and Confused, to the structuring of conversations with Nora, that feels very much like the Before trilogy. And there's a really remarkable scene where they're sitting in a cinema and they're pondering on life, much like they do in the Before Sunrise film. Now, this is Estonia's official submission for the 98th Academy Award for Best International Feature Film, and the country have only ever had one nomination for Tangerines in 2014 and one shortlisting for Truth and Justice in 2019. This makes them the 40th most successful country at the Oscars in the last decade, and the 43rd most successful country of all time at the Oscars. Now, I think it's unlikely this film will make the shortlist just because it's a really small film, which probably won't have the campaign behind it. However, if I was an Oscar voter, I would absolutely put this on my ballot. I love this film. It really shows off Tallinn and speaks to a generation that has this internal conflict between the needs of being an adult versus the needs of living a fulfilling life. I would therefore give Rolling Papers 4 stars. Have you seen Rolling Papers? If you have, put in the comments below what you thought. And if you want more news and reviews for the Best International Feature Film Academy Awards, please do subscribe to Global Film Pool. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.